Hello and welcome to my English class channel and web page on Facebook. In response to the coronavirus outbreak and the state of emergency declared by the government of Morocco and the Ministry of Education, and in response to the call for initiative online lesson plans, I have the great pleasure to introduce to you my English lessons for the students of the second baccalaureate and also the first baccalaureate student. So today's lesson is subject relative pronouns, as you can see here: who, that, which, and whose, when we use them to join two sentences or two clauses in one combined complete sentence. Let's start with having a look at this cartoon. As you can see here, we have two men talking and three other women standing by them and talking different separately. So this man here is talking to Mr. Bill. This is Mr. Bill. He's saying, "Bill, come meet the woman who has changed my life." So he wants to introduce Mr. Bill to the woman who has changed his life. Who do you think the woman he is talking about? So let's answer this question. The man is talking about the woman holding a report. He means that he's talking about this woman. Is it true or false? True or false? What do you think? Take a moment to think about this. Certainly, as you can see here, you can judge that he is talking about this woman. Anyway, so a relative clause is a clause that is combined with a main clause. Let's take this example together. That's my friend who lives in Rome. Suppose the speaker has got a friend or has got different friends, and he's pointing or she's pointing at one of hers or his. So he's saying, "That's my friend." Which friend? Which friend? The friend who lives in Rome. So who lives in Rome is a clause that gives us more information about the friend. Let's take another example. My friend who lives in Rome is a dancer. My friend who lives in Rome is a dancer. We could have said in this first example, "That's my friend," and we stop here. And we could also say in this example, "My friend is a dancer." Here, "That's my friend who lives in Rome." Who lives in Rome gives us information about the friend, and who lives in Rome here in this second sentence, second example, gives us more information about my friend. Which friend is a dancer? Like you say, which friend is a dancer? My friend who lives in Rome is a dancer. So it gives us more information about the noun, which is my friend. Now, take a moment and unscramble these words to form a sentence. I'm going to pause, or you pause the video. You try to make this sentence in the right. So you have that. Okay, the correct answer is that's the man. Which man? Who works in the cafeteria. This is the right answer. So I know the woman. For more explanation, just to show you what's the role of the adjective clause, or the relative clause, I'm sorry. I know the woman who lives there. So who lives there is an adjective clause that identifies the woman we are talking about. It's like Rome is a city. Rome is a city which attracts tourists. The adjective clause gives us additional information about the city. So in this example, we use the relative pronoun who to give more information about the person we're talking about. So here we cannot say which because we are talking about person. So we use who for people. And here we have a city which is an object, a place, of course. We use city, which attracts, which is a relative pronoun that replaces an object or a place. Someone who has a lot of friends is lucky. Someone who has a lot of friends is lucky. So the word order is very important. We don't say someone is lucky who has a lot of friends, but someone, it must be between the clauses, in between, within the sentence. Someone who has a lot of friends is lucky. So, to explain more these subject relative pronouns, we start with A. We use it for people, of course, as you can see. We use who or that. They have both the same function. We can say, for example, I have a friend who lives in Qatar. Or we can say, I have a friend that lives in Qatar. The only difference between who and that is a little bit informal, and who is more formal than that. This is the only difference. So who and that are subject relative pronouns that are used to refer to people. In B, when we want to refer to things and places, we use which and that. Which and that. Example. So here you can see two examples, two cities or objects in many different places. We talk about Marrakesh. We say, for example, Marrakesh is a city which never sleeps. An example. Or we can replace which with that. We say Marrakesh is a city that never sleeps. Excellent. Now we move on to people's possessions, or like we use whose plus a noun. Example here, he is the man whose dog barks all day. Suppose we're talking about a man. That man has got a dog, and that dog barks all the day. So we say he is the man whose dog barks all the day. So whose must be followed by a noun, which is dog in this example here, and then we have a verb and objects. Another example to illustrate more, the English teacher is the man whose car is silver. So whose car describes the word the man, and whose dog describes the word the man here again. So to make difference between to identify which man we're talking about. And here again we have they are the family whose daughter died in fire last year. They are the family whose daughter died last year is a clause that defines the word family. Be careful here when we talk about subject relative pronouns who, which and that. We don't use subject pronouns like I, you and he. Let's take this example. Scott is someone who loves sport. We don't say Scott is someone who he loves sport. This is not accurate. This is not grammar. This is like a duplicate and repetition. So if you understand, let's go to practice. Complete each sentence with an appropriate relative pronouns and the correct form of the verb in brackets, in parentheses. Here we need to complete with who or which or that or whose. Then you put the verb between brackets in the correct form. For example, people, something, we put people, who or which or that or whose, have or had or will have moved a lot have fewer friends. So here we have a past participle. Normally it would be present perfect. We say people who have moved a lot have fewer friends. People who have moved a lot. I have two kinds of practices. You have to complete this in the first stage, and then you move on here, and you, in this exercise, you read each pair of sentences. Like here, I have a friend, my friend lives in Mexico. Then you use a relative pronoun to combine them into one. So you take these two sentences and use a relative pronoun like who, which, or that, and you put them in one sentence. Like in the example here, I have a friend who lives in Mexico City. I have a friend who lives in Mexico City. So if you can see here, a friend and my friend is duplicated. It was repeated. So we make it in one sentence, and we avoid repetition by using the relative pronoun who, which combine the two sentences in one sentence. And you do the same thing for number 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and then you can share them in the comments area so that you can get feedback from your friends. That's all for today's lesson, which was about relative pronouns. See you in the next lesson, and have a good time. Bye.